Louisiana Beer Reviews 34, Colt 45 Malt Liquor. Colt 45 Malt Liquor was introduced in 1963 by the National Brewing Company of Baltimore, Maryland. Colt 45 was acquired at some point by G. Holloman Brewing Company, and in 1999 it was acquired by Pabst Brewing Company, who currently owns it. Colt 45 malt liquor is typically 5.6% alcohol, but it's also sold in 7% and alcohol. It's 7% and 8% alcohol ratings, so it depends where you buy it. This is a typical malt liquor, or extra strong beer as it ought to be called. It's made with common ingredients: barley malt, water, hops, corn adjunct, and yeast. Colt 45 has had Billy D. Williams as their spokesman off and on since about 1985. Their tagline is Colt 45 works every time. I'm going to show you a few things like I was showing earlier. Here is a typical Colt 45 can, pint can, with the famous kicking horse. Here's a Colt 45 bottle. I bought this clear bottle back in 1996 when it was still owned by G. Holloman Brewery. Now here's some other interesting products. You may have seen Colt 45 double malt liquor. I only saw this once in my life for sale, and this was in St. Louis, Missouri on Broadway at a convenience store. So I was so excited I bought it. This was in 2010. I can't wait to go and get some more. If I go back there again and see it, I'm going to buy a whole bunch of it. That was very good. It was a little heavier bodied, although it's about 5.6% alcohol like the regular Colt 45. This I bought in 2010 in New York City, and it's Colt 45 High Gravity Lager. 8.5% alcohol. I thought it was very good. It's very strong. The only time I've ever seen it, like I said, Queens, New York, 2010. Well, I'd like to get my hand on a lot of this stuff. Get my hands on it. Now this is something you've probably never seen, although the Pabst Brewing Company told me last year when they sent me some information that it's still produced. They said the double malt, the high gravity, and this. Colt 45 premium beer, cold filtered. Only the finest ingredients brewed with choice barley grains and hops, cold filtered. It is with pride that we bring you to Colt 45 premium beer. It is made using traditional brewing methods to create a time-honored taste that is clean and smooth. I bought this in La Crosse, Wisconsin, which was the home to the Holloman Brewery, actually. So this was probably made right there in Wisconsin, in La Crosse. That is so rare. If I ever see it, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go crazy. I'm going to buy so much of it. All right. Red Fox for a while back in the 70s did Colt 45 commercials, but today Colt 45 gets no radio, television, or magazine advertising attention. You do see signs for it in liquor stores, however, and it is popular. A lot of people drink Colt 45. It's one of the top malt liquor brands. I've been drinking it since '96, off and on. I've always enjoyed it. I do want to warn you, though, that it's a risk to buy it in the clear bottle because the light can come through the glass and spoil the beer. It's always a good idea to buy beer in a brown bottle, which Schlitz invented in the early 1900s because they found that it protected the beer from spoiling. Keeps the light out. So it's kind of hit or miss. You never know if it's going to be skunky or not. And I'm hoping this 18-ounce clear bottle is not going to be skunk. And you might have noticed in the last year, they've been putting a lot of these 18-ounce bottles on the market. Old English, Schlitz Malt Liquor, Colt 45, Ice House, and other Pabst and Miller products. Because, you know, Miller, you may not know, but Miller brews Pabst brands because in 1999, Pabst and Miller made a blockbuster deal. They turned over all their breweries to Miller, and now Miller brews the Pabst brands under supervision. Well, let's go ahead and give it the taste test. It gets a D+ on Beer Advocate. The bros give it a C-. It gets poor ratings on Rate Beer, and on the Beer and Me, actually, however, it gets an excellent rating. So let's open it up. Smells a little skunky, but not real bad. Here's a cold mug, got out the freezer. It's always best to drink malt liquor ice cold. This mug's been sitting out about 5 minutes. Okay. As usual, it has a fairly thick white head, this very white head. Extremely clear yellow to golden appearance, very heavily filtered. The carbonation is quite high. You can see the bubbles streaming up the glass. Let's see about the aroma here. It's not too skunky. It is a little bit. It might have been in the light a little while. It's been in my dark fridge since I bought it. It's not too bad. You mostly get a corn aroma, grain aroma. You can smell that clear, clean water. You know, you can sometimes smell clean water. I forgot to check the code. I know there's a code that Miller has, and it'll tell you what brewery it came from. I don't know. Doesn't really matter. If it's in Louisiana, more than likely. Fort Worth, and it doesn't say Union Made. Union Made is usually a tip-off that it's Milwaukee, but I don't see that. So this is more than likely coming from the Fort Worth brewery. Now the most important thing, the taste test. Get that classic Colt 45 sweetness. I'm trying to be open-minded, give it a fair rating. It's got a clean taste. It's very mild. Colt 45 is so mild. You pick up the grains. The hop bitterness is just so minimal. It's barely there, just enough to round out the taste, but only to the slightest extent. You get that hop bitterness at the end of the taste, really, but it is not a bitter beer. If you've never tried malt liquor and you want to try something that's not too strong and it's going to catch you unawares, this is a good malt liquor to start with. If you're a typical light beer drinker, if you usually drink light beer and you're a little afraid of a strong beer taste, I would say this is an excellent introductory beer for the malt liquor world. And by the way, Colt 45 is one of the top malt liquors in Louisiana. You see it all the time in the 18-ounce bottles, the pint cans, occasionally 24-ounce cans, although I don't see those too much. Also, quite often in the 40-ounce bottles. That just seems to be everywhere. Colt 45 is sold in all kind of containers, though. The 12-ounce cans, the pint cans, the big cans. In New York City, they sell Colt 45 in little 7-ounce ponies, little 7-ounce clear bottles, much like the Miller High Life. And it does have a very strong following. It's big with the college crowd because I guess it has the alcohol punch, but on the other hand, it has the mild, easy drinking taste profile. The body is light to medium. It has a easy drinking mouthfeel. There's a little bit of, you get that malt liquor cloyingness, a little overly sweet taste, but it's not bad. It's really not. And if you sip this ice cold, it's an enjoyable lager to have. I was looking forward to this review, tell you the truth. And I was hoping, I said, oh, I hope this Colt 45 is not skunked. It's not really. Yeah, that was just the initial release of the bouquet. It had a little bit of that in it, but it wasn't bad at all, really. On a scale of 1 to 100, the skunkiness was 25, and then it quickly dissipated. You can see the head doesn't stick around, but it has a fair amount of lacing. As a malt liquor enthusiast, not a fanatic, but an enthusiast, I've enjoyed Colt 45. I'm enjoying this now. I am going to have to go get some of those chiwis though, because if I drink this whole 18 ounce on an empty stomach, I'm going to have some problems. So I'm going to put a little something in my stomach. But laissez-les bon temps rouler. This is a good malt liquor. And I'm going to end this review by saying, y'all come on down to New Orleans.